Have you ever noticed something interesting about loud people? The loudest person in the room usually thinks they're the strongest one. They're the first to react, the first to argue, and the first to defend themselves. But if you watch long enough, it's usually the quiet ones who end up being respected the most. And that's confusing for a lot of people. Because today we're taught if somebody challenges you, you need to react immediately. You need to speak up. You need to push back. You need to let everybody know where you stand. But what most people don't realize is reaction and strength are not the same thing. And in many cases, reacting too quickly usually reveals a lack of control. One of the things I've learned over the years is that not everything deserves a response. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean it requires a reaction from you. In fact, the moment you respond emotionally to every little comment, criticism, or suggestion, you've already lost control of the situation. Because now the conversation isn't about the problem anymore. It's about the reaction. And that happens all the time. Somebody says something irritating, you push back, then they push back, and before long, the whole discussion turns into an argument about what was said instead of the issue you were trying to solve in the first place. That's why calm people often pause. They're not weak, they're thinking. And this is where a lot of young people misunderstand quiet men. They see somebody stay calm and think, why don't you just stick up for yourself? But what they don't realize is something important. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to not react at all. Because calm people are usually doing something different. They're observing. They're looking for patterns. They're figuring out what actually needs to happen next. I saw this play out in a big way years ago at work. The company that I worked for had been in the same building for over 50 years. Then one day we found out that the building was being sold, which means we had to clear out decades of inventory from a warehouse that had been collecting equipment and material for over half of a century. Now, normally the front end managers, people like me, didn't come in on weekends. But this situation was different. It was all hands on deck. So that Saturday morning, the warehouse crew showed up expecting another long, exhausting day, and something happened they didn't expect. All of the front office staff showed up too, not in suits, not giving orders, but in regular clothes, working right alongside them, sweating, lifting boxes, moving equipment. We spent 10 hours that day working hard. Then we came back on Sunday and did it all over again. And I remember watching the mood of the warehouse workers change. At first, people were frustrated. Some of them even talked about quitting because the job looked completely impossible. But when they saw management in there working beside them, everything shifted. Because action speaks louder than authority. That's something quiet men understand. Leadership isn't always about what you say, it's about what you see people do. You don't have to argue your position, you demonstrate it. And when people see that consistency, they start paying attention. Now here's where this idea really matters. A lot of people believe reacting quickly shows strength. But most of the time it shows the opposite. Because reacting quickly usually means one thing. You don't have enough information yet. Calm people understand that. So instead of reacting, they switch into analytical mode. They start asking questions like, what's actually driving the situation? What problem are we really trying to solve? And what's the smartest move forward? That's not weakness, that's control. You see, this misunderstanding happens at work all the time. Some employees feel the need to challenge every decision. They think if they question everything, it proves their value. But the truth is, performance speaks louder than arguments. You don't need to fight every battle to be respected. If your work is solid, people notice. The same thing happens at home too. Sometimes calmness gets mistaken for indifference. A spouse might think, why aren't you reacting to this situation the same exact way that I am? But calmness doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you're trying to understand the situation before escalating it. That's something we talk about a lot on this channel. Real strength isn't loud. It's built. It's built through patience. It's built through discipline. It's built through control. Anybody can react, but the ability to stay calm when everyone else is emotional, now that's a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you practice it. So the next time you feel pressure to react immediately, pause for a second. Ask yourself something simple. Is reacting right now going to solve the problem, or is it just going to add more noise to it? Because the men who win in the long run usually aren't the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones who understand when to speak and when silence is a smarter move. If this video helped you see that idea a little differently, consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.